What is up, my friends? Welcome to the stream. I'm your host, Jay, and today I didn't realize that this is actually the same exact time as the Discourse Syndicate stream. I think I realized that last week because the time changed, and I didn't actually change anything. So first off, all right, sweet. So first off, thank you so much for joining us. I know that there's a lot of different streaming options out there for you, so I appreciate that you're jumping in here with me. So today, I thought it would be really great to throw my hat in a ring for this peak performance talk. You know, after all, I am a self-proclaimed expert just as much as the next guy. I mean, I made courses. You know, I used to make videos. I used to consider myself a biohacker, right? And so, yeah, I thought, hey, you know what? This is right up my alley. I just saw that last week they had Dr. Nicole on Discorse Syndicate, and they were talking about all this stuff, all this health stuff. And it is really important, you know? It's really, really important, actually. And it's really easy to lose track of that, right? You make a bunch of money, and it's real easy to get fat because while you're making a bunch of money, you picked up a bunch of bad habits. And, you know, there's two things you can't really get back, and that's time and health, yeah? So I think that's oh, did it? I didn't realize that. So I think that's important. I think we should riff on this. So I've got quite a bit, actually. I'm going to share my screen, and you're going to be like, "Whoa, what is he got going there?" You know, because I got a lot here. Also, too, you're not gonna. It's unfortunate, I know, but you're not gonna get to see my pretty mug because the office is a mess, and yeah, I just don't feel like showing all this stuff in the background. I'm 2 days away from moving, about 2 days away from moving offices. So yeah, just have to deal with this for now. So let's get me off the screen because it's more important of what we're talking about. So here it is, peak performance for crypto kids. So, you know, I've got, like I said, accolades, right? And one of them is this right here. I don't even know when I made this. I'm going to tell you, I don't remember. But there's, what is there? 1,700 students, 1,743 students from all over the world, which is pretty cool. 87 countries, right? This thing, I think I've had it on there for like a couple of years, like 4 or 5 years. I think I've had this on Udemy. I don't know how I could give you free access, but I don't mind giving you free access. We can figure that out somehow, but if you want it. And here's what's crazy is I shot this stuff 4 or 5 years ago, right? And we're talking about biohacking and time management. Peak performance is such like a generic term. You have to forgive me. I was just laying down before I jumped on the stream, so I'm still kind of waking up. Is peak performance is it's kind of a broad term, right? Like peak performance could mean like your time management, you know, how you feel about yourself, you know, the mental side, the physical side, right? Peak performance means a lot of different things now, right? And so I covered like a lot of that stuff, you know, like time management techniques, how to get more stuff done in the day. It's kind of funny, you know, thinking back to that time frame, how obsessed I was with this stuff, with the health side of it, as well as the physical side, to just get as much done in a day as possible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel the same about it now, but maybe it's because all that stuff has been habitualized, right? So we're going to talk about some cool stuff, though. I'm going to talk about some experience I've had as well, health problems I've had, because I haven't had like a lot of health issues, haven't really been in the hospital a lot. You know, I don't have organs or, you know, organs haven't been removed. I haven't had emergency surgeries, none of that stuff. I've been thankful and lucky on that front. But there is a ton of stuff that I think is important that you should be keeping an eye on. And I'm sure if Dr. Nicole had more time with the guys, that she would have gone into more in-depth stuff. So I figured, hey, you know what? Let me pick up where she kind of left off and cover some of my experience and what I know to be important, right? So let me just go ahead and drop the big disclaimer right now. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a licensed practitioner in any sort of way. I'm just a guy who's obsessed, who tends to dive deep down the rabbit hole when I find a topic that either I have to learn for some sort of reason or I want to learn for some sort of reason. I get hooked, okay? So if anything, I'm a little crazy from that standpoint. All right, so let's dive in. Peak performance basics is what we're going to start with. I got so many notes here. Your head's going to spin. So you're going to be wanting to look at the screen probably, or check this back on the replay. All right, the basics, right? This is no matter what you got going on, you should probably start to get regular full spectrum blood work. What I mean by this, by full spectrum, is because it is different in countries. Like it's really easy to get most of this stuff done in the US and Europe. And even within that, though, there is some tests that, depending on how deep you wanted to get, you would actually have to get special permission for within the US, because they don't really like to include it in the insurance side. They don't really like to include it in a test either. But for a full spectrum blood work, we're usually looking for laboratory range and functional range. Laboratory range is catching like you're already fucked, and now like you're in disease levels, right? So it's like, let's say it's a scale between 1 to 10. Well, even entering 1, you're already in rough shape. All the way up to 10 is like you're probably going to die in a couple of weeks, right? Like that's what I mean. Whereas functional range tends to catch things before they get into laboratory range, and you tend to catch things quicker. And so, I mean, again, call me crazy, but you would want to catch things quicker, right? All right, you guys following along so far? No, let me know in the chat. There's just a couple of people on the stream right now, and that's because you're battling with other people streaming. Anyways, we're going to have some fun regardless. All right. You guys can see my screen, right? Yeah? All right. All right. So get your blood work done. Now, blood work is one of those things to where I don't really know how you feel about it, but I'm not really keen on like I don't know, pretty indifferent towards needles, but getting my blood work done has always been an issue. I usually pass out. For the longest time, I did anyways, and I eventually beat it. And I passed out because it just felt weird, right? It feels weird when you have like, your blood is your life force, right? When you have it removed for any reason, it's just weird. I don't like it. So anyways, that's my riff on getting blood taken. So here are the specific things that you want to pay attention to where you can kind of catch things going wrong. There's a few more that I missed. I was actually trying to dig up my last blood work that I just got done maybe like a month ago. But my desk, there's literally a stack of paperwork, which I don't know if I've ever had this much of a mess before. And I'm content on not cleaning it until after I move offices, but I couldn't find it, is the short story. So liver enzymes, you want to keep an eye on. They'll tell you these things too. Like if you had a doctor look back over it, you could also like Google this stuff yourself too. Like it'll give you all this stuff back, right? And it'll have abbreviations and things like this. And you could literally Google each one of these one by one, and it'll tell you what the functional range is, laboratory range, which is pretty cool, right? Technology, man. So creatinine is kidney levels. That's another one you want to keep an eye on. So we can start to piece some really basic stuff together, right? Especially when we start to combine this with maybe a stool sample or a urine sample, you can start to see, we have liver disease issues or fatty liver issues, or we've got some sort of other health issue coming in, right? Sometimes you can catch things like stones, kidney stones, gallbladder stones, etc. But there's easier ways, I think, to catch that. You're just looking for any obvious like elevations of these levels, liver enzyme, kidney levels, testosterone levels. So that's what test levels are, right? HGH levels. So again, you've got an entire debate that could be had about what is the healthy range for males of XYZ age of test levels. I know a lot of guys. The reason why I want to talk about a lot of this stuff is because HRT is so common now with men, right? Everyone's jumping on HRT, 100 to whatever you want to call HRT, which it's anywhere between 100 milligrams to about 250 milligrams a week, depending on who you're talking to and what they're taking, right? So, I mean, we're talking about like full steroid, like we're on the road to bodybuilding with some of these levels that people are taking with HRT. So this stuff you should be getting done regularly if you're doing that. HGH levels, you can see some elevations here, especially if maybe you're doing some sort of intermittent fasting or you're doing like a 6-day on, 1-day full day fast. You can see some spikes and elevations in HGH, as well as depending on when you get the blood work done, if you've goofed up and had any food, big solid meals, you'll throw off a lot of these levels as well. Cholesterol levels is another important one. So that's HDL, LDL. Again, this is how you catch things, but there's also other basics that I'll get into in terms of testing, like basic blood pressure. If you've got high blood pressure problems, or you've recently noticed that your blood pressure is higher, aka you're getting pissed off at everything all the time, well, maybe you need to get your own, your own tester at home, your own cuff, and you can take your own daily blood pressure so that you can see if this was just a fluke. Were you just nervous at the doctor's office? Were you hungry? Were you pissed off because traffic, right? Like, if you're concerned about it, then just invest a little bit of money it would take to get your own cuff so you could test yourself, right? Yeah, there's a lot that can happen with HRT, actually. We could probably do a whole stream on that just alone, but understand that just because the doctor is prescribing testosterone that you inject into your body doesn't mean that it's like this super healthy thing that then you can like get free reign and do whatever you want with. There's still side effects to testosterone, hair loss, fertility issues, as well as libido issues. I mean, there's a lot there to unpack. But it is really great, I think, for a lot of things too. I just think that people tend to overdo it. Okay, so some other basics that you should be doing on a regular basis is chiropractic, at least monthly. I know there's a lot of people that probably don't believe in this. This isn't going to be a stream where I try and convince you that getting your vertebrae and your bones realigned to their natural place is a good idea. You could probably do your research and figure that out for yourself. Chiropractic, at least monthly, is a good idea though, especially for me. Like, I'll give you a great example. Like, between the left and right side of my body, at my hips, I can fluctuate about 1/2 inch. So now imagine if I were to never go to chiropractic because maybe my primary doctor doesn't like it, or because everyone says it's boo-hoo. Well, not everyone, but let's say I just listened to somebody and said I never went and got that done. I'd have this problem where that would turn into a permanent issue, and I'd have an imbalance between right and left. I would start to have muscular issues, and a muscular frame of my body start to occur because of this. Like, this is just simple shit that everybody could/should be doing on a semi-regular basis to get things free-flowing correctly. Yeah. The other one is deep tissue massage, because to go all the way down to the bottom here is that daily you should be sweating in some sort of way. I think that there's insane amount of benefits to working out, but more importantly, just sweating every day. So that could be just doing yoga, doing some sort of stretching, doing some sort of movement, man. I don't care, like, go in the backyard and just jump around, roll around on the ground, right? In the grass, in your bare feet. Some sort of sweating every single day, I think is great, because it's showing you a few different things. First off, it's showing you that you're alive, and it's showing you what you're capable of if you're willing to train. And that was like, training has always been a big piece of my life. And it was weird from an identity standpoint when I had things happen where I couldn't train. Maybe I had slight injuries, or, I had things going on with my back at a couple points. And when those things happen, I wasn't able to train, and I would constantly be going through like a crisis, identity crisis, because it's so deeply tied. It was still, I'd say it still is, but not the same. It used to be so deeply tied to like my value of who I am, right, as an individual. And this is true for a lot of people, men, women alike, right? And so I think that when you start your day off and you train and you push, then you're kind of starting your day off in a great way, because if you push it harder than your day is going to be, then your day is a pretty much a breeze, right? And if you push it and you're willing to go to that place, then nothing in your day can happen that can throw you off, or that is worse than what you did to yourself in the morning in that workout, which, again, that's why I think those things are important. But again, I would say it equally across the board, that it's just some sort of sweating, getting in the ocean, doing some sort of sports activities, whatever, right? I just think those things are insanely important. Okay, another couple things that I've just done for a really long time that I think are really important, and I could speak to like how it feels to not do them, would be intermittent fasting, which I've done pretty consistently for, I don't even know, six or more years, which is where I just wait, and I've got like a 16-hour fast window, no, 18-hour fast window, 6-hour eating window, something like that, where you don't start eating till about 12 o'clock, and then I stop at 8. That's pretty much it, intermittent fasting every day. I also just like to do 1 full day at least fast per month, which I know of course, other people have problems with. Elongated fasting, I think, is kind of questionable. Like, I'll give you an example. So I had no problem doing multiple juice fasts in G countries. So in Australia, in America, in New Zealand, I did fasts, right? I did juice fasts where I juiced myself. I did water fasts where I just had water or carbonated water and lemon added to it, and that was it. No salt stuff, no sugar stuff, nothing. It was just water and lemon. And then I've done that in really hot, humid places like Panama and some Asian countries. And I had some really weird and interesting health effects start to take place, because what they don't tell you about fasting, and I know that there's huge spiritual benefits and all of that, is that you can get really weird stuff happen. You can get allergies you can pick up gout. You can pick up just like dumb shit. You start to get sensitivities towards carbohydrates. And amongst other things. So you just gotta be careful with like fasting. I know that there's like huge spiritual side of it, which is what I was attracted to. Just understand that there is like, some downsides to it, right? And then daily greens is the other one. I've taken the same daily greens, which it's called Amazing Grass. I take the lemon energy blend for, I don't even know how long, 5-6 years. I don't know. Go back onto Crypto Junkies and you'll see I shot a video about my morning routine way back in 2017. And I think back then I was talking about taking it for like 3-4 years. So fuck, I don't even know how long it's been. It's been a really long time now. I think having something like that every single day is absolutely incredible. Game changer for me. So with this specific blend is it's not trying to do too much. So it doesn't have like 1,001 things in it. Like, oh my God. It's got just enough of things that I think matter. So it's a great way to start the day. I have a scoop of branch chain amino acids, which you can look those up if you don't know what those are. Those are like amino acids that the body needs. Helps deliver proteins, helps with muscle soreness, helps with rebuilding muscle tissue. And then I have a scoop of my daily greens in there. And I like the daily greens in the morning because it kind of acts as my coffee. It has yerba mate or yerba mate, however you want to pronounce it, and green tea and some L-theanine. So it gives you a good kick without like caffeine jitters. So it's clean energy. It's good. I like it. Look into that if you want. And then if you've never, let's jump into the next section here. If you've never done testing before, I'm going to come back to the not so basic stuff and personal experience, which I start talking about weird stuff. We'll come back to that. If you've never done testing before, right? Like there's been a decent amount of people that have come through the Crypto Junkie community that had weird health issues, like gut issues. I can think of with a few people, weird health, autoimmune issues, right? There's some weird shit that can go on, especially now, right? Now with the poke and everything, there's going to be a whole new batch of health issues that are going to occur. Autoimmune issues, you name it, man. There's going to be some really fucking weird stuff that comes out of all this, besides heart issues and conditions like that, right? Okay, just drinking some water. If you've never done testing before, a great place to start would be full panel blood work, functional laboratory range. Get urine analysis done, get stool analysis done, and get hair analysis done. Here's the wacky thing about hair analysis. Quick story time is I was a kid and I was diagnosed, I put in quotes, with ADHD, right? And back then, this is a long time ago, so I was put into the special needs group, right, in school. This is when they really didn't understand what it was, which I'm kind of aging myself a little bit here by talking about that. And so I was in the same class with people who had very serious issues going on. There was a kid who, he moved around, his world was in a wheelchair, and he spent half the day cleaning up the drool that was permanently coming out of his mouth. I mean, there's some people with some serious neurological and physical issues going on. And I just had something going on that we maybe didn't understand the same way. So this is when Ritalin first came around. So I was stuffed on Ritalin, shut up, get in the corner kind of thing. And that stuff was really weird to me. I actually still have memories from when I was taking this, when I was in, what was I in? Elementary school? Like this was at the tail end of elementary, I think, going into junior high. Fucking weird stuff, dude. So anyways, my parents, I was so weird that my parents ended up getting very concerned about me, and they took me to this like specialist, which again, if you could imagine back then, this is like 80s, late 80s, was very strange to take your kid to like a hair analysis doctor. Like you're a fucking weirdo if you're doing that. But anyways, one of the best things we could have ever done, here's why, is they found that I was short on all these basic minerals and vitamins. So then we put together seriously like a tackle box of vitamins. And we're talking basic stuff, magnesium, which most people are deficient in magnesium. I was short on copper and like a couple other weird minerals amongst, again, like some more general things. So they dialed me in, and I was like, we're talking like to the milligram, taking what I was deficient in per day. And within a very short amount of time, I no longer needed to be on the Ritalin, and I was able to kind of manage myself, and we were able to take me off of that. And then I went from like failing school to being one of the top students in my class, so much so that at the end of the year, my parents told me the story afterwards, is that there was somebody who was like pissed off in the audience when I was on stage getting an award, because they were like, why the fuck is that kid up there? Because they thought I was dumb. And so the hair analysis stuff, I could tell you, like literally changed my life, because what they do is they go down to the scalp with a good length of hair. And what they're analyzing is all the shit that you're missing over a very long time of your life, like, 12 months or more usually. And that can give you a huge amount of data. Whereas a snapshot of like your urine or stool, that's like what you pissed out today. So if I drank yesterday, gonna affect it. If I had too much of this or that and my stool was softer or harder or whatever I had going on for today, I'm not trying to get too deep into poop talk, but that throws that off. And so getting a look at the hair follicles and a longer point in time, because I had longer hair at the time too, so they loved it. They were able to get a huge snapshot into what the fuck was going on with me. But anyways, it was great. It was absolutely amazing to have that happen. And so I actually suggested that to somebody last year, and they had all kinds of interesting shit come back too, and it helped them in a huge way, because again, they had gut issues and this weird autoimmune shit, and they've been riddled with health problems for like their whole life, and they were able to get a really good comprehensive idea of things that they didn't realize because of that. The next one is heavy metal testing, and then a basic physical go a long way, right? Blood pressure, turn and cough, right? You got any pains here? You got history of, blood pressure problems, heart problems, this problem, that problem in the family. Like sitting down with somebody and having them start to write this down and track your medical history, probably a pretty smart idea too. So this snapshot here will give you a great idea of what's going on. You might feel okay, you might look okay, you might be skinny, you might be able to run, marathons tomorrow, but getting an idea of this stuff is hugely important, which I hope, if anything else, is a big takeaway from this live stream with Dr. Nicole that you guys probably tuned into last week, is that, the money doesn't mean shit if you're not around to spend it or, help the things that you want to help and change the things that you want to change. So taking care of your health is hugely, hugely important, right? And I do have we're going to get down into the trenches, and I'm going to talk about specific shit, and I'm going to show you some blends. We're going to talk about some ancient Chinese medicine and things that I strongly believe in as well, that I've taken for a consistent long time. But I also too want to talk about some personal experience stuff really quick before we dive into that, if you don't mind. So in the chat, you guys following along so far? Let's just take a break, because I've been rambling for like 25 minutes. I just realized that. Yeah, okay, so another key point to kind of back up what I'm saying is like we were all just on lockdown, some places longer than others. Australia, I feel for you. We were just locked down for almost a year. A lot of us, 2 weeks to slow the curve, ended up being fucking over 100 days. So I mean, psychologically, there's a lot of issues going on right now. And there was already a lot of psychological issues going on before the lockdowns happened. So there's going to be a whole lot more. Was eating on point? Were people exercising? Well, not everyone had a home gym. So it's like, it's time to dust off this stuff and get back into the game. So urine and stool analysis can give you a good snapshot into organ issues. I'll give you an example. So let's see here. Oh, yeah. So one of the big recent things that I had happen is I've had this kind of kidney thing going on for the last probably 3-4 years. Kind of came out of nowhere. It was on the back end of a really long fast where I gained, for the first time in my life, I got fat. I can legitimately say that. I went from like 185 to like 240. And I lost most of my muscle mass, and I was filled with inflammation, which that's another side effect of doing long-term fasting. I was doing a long-term fast for like religion purposes, I guess, or spiritual practice purposes. So I was following something that was designed around my birthday under the Hindu religion. And so anyways, it was just this elongated fast. And there was like a really bad rebound after that. So my joints were filled with inflammation, and I had this kidney or liver issue going on. I wasn't even sure. And so then, I left and I went away, and I kind of handled most of the weight issue. I think I'm at like 201 right now, which is a really good weight for me. I'm 6'1", so I got a ton of muscle back, and my frame is filled out again. But yeah, I can now speak from the other side, because up until that point, I'd always just been really lean and in really great shape all the time, without the need of having to take substances or steroids or anything like that, right? And so, yeah, that was like always my normal. And then it was a big wake up call to like get that in my early 30s, to like get like, hey, you're fucking fat. Now you got to figure out what's going on. So anyways, what it turned out to be, long road to figure this out and get to the conclusion. But I've got some sort of liver issue going on. And I think I need to go get more testing done to know for sure. But there's like non-alcoholic liver fatty disease. And that's basically just when you have liver damage done. There's some sort of damage done. And there's ways to fix this. And so anyways, I think that's what's been going on with me. And blood work and stool analysis confirmed that earlier this year. So it was very easy to see that there was excess fatty, and the bile combination, B-I-L-E combination in the stool itself was wrong. That is a huge indicator of something going wrong. Like if you're all of a sudden it turns white, or it turns like gray or something like that, you probably should get into the hospital that day and get some testing done, because that's a pretty big indicator. Also too, excessively it being soft is another issue that you should probably, start to see somebody after maybe a week or two of it continuing, because that could be on the road to some sort of fatty / bile issue, right? And so that was the case with me. That was actually one of the lead indicators for me to figure out and go and get the proper testing done, because I already knew what to look for to get that done. High blood pressure. Now, high blood pressure on itself can mean a plethora of things, right? But if you were to mix that with like pulsating pain in your lower back, but it's not your muscle, it's not like your T11, T12 area, right? Pulsing from like maybe doing heavy deadlifts or something, but you're getting that kind of pulsating feeling, but it's feeling internal. Well, that could mean kidney stones. And the blood pressure is trying to tell you that you've got stones. So a simple x-ray would find that, because it'd find the hard spots, especially if they're big. So that would be a simple way to find that, right? And I actually, when I was young, got kidney stones from taking too much creatine, and my chiropractor found it, of all people. So he was like, trying to adjust me, and he was feeling it. And he's like, hey man, you haven't, because he noticed my head was turning red when he was like moving me around to adjust me. And next thing you know, he's asking me a couple more questions. Bang. He x-rays me, we find him, and that was it, right? So I found him really early on. Now, the weird thing about kidney stones, gallbladder stones, is that they usually want to do a very invasive surgery. Now, again, I'm not trying to, tell you what to do, but there is something that actually gets rid of them. And I don't know why doctors don't just tell people this, but at that point when I got them, and throughout my whole life now, I've tried to tell as many people as possible about this little trick. And it's called calcium magnesium citrate. And it's a liquid, and it's flavored. It tastes pretty sweet. You can literally get it at GNC, Vitamin Shop. You can get it anywhere. You can get it online. Just about every country, you could get it shipped to you. And that shit you take 2 to 3 teaspoons a day, and in about a week, it'll dissolve them all out naturally. So you don't have to go and get them lasered out. You don't have to go and get surgery. You don't have to worry about passing them through, right? Any of that stuff. So, I mean, this is like common sense stuff like this we can talk about. Because I mean, the natural route and the kind of, I guess, organic route should always be looked at first before going to something more invasive, like some sort of surgery or something. And it was interesting because during that same time when I was doing this route, my boss at the time, because I was managing a couple of health clubs, he had just gotten the surgery done. And that's another reason why I didn't want to do it, because he was out of commission for like 6 months. And then it happened again to him. And so the guy ended up gaining a bunch of weight, and he's got all these health problems happening because they keep having to go into his kidney. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not doing that. Another basic one is when you take antibiotics, which again is really common for right now because what we're dealing with, getting prescribed a Z-Pak or ivermectin or whatever you're going to do to get rid of the coof, if you get it, is a common prescription here is to take some sort of antibiotic. What most people don't realize is that strips your gut of everything. So it pushes out good flora, bad flora, pushes out everything, right? And this is really basic shit. So a way that you can help protect against that is to take probiotics side by side, 30 billion, 60 billion, etc., side by side with it, or take it right after. So do your Z-Pack or do your 1 week blast and then take probiotics, and it'll help kind of recycle your gut health. Because if you keep taking antibiotics and abusing them and never fixing your gut health, you can have health problems caused by that. So you see how, like, you know, a lot of this is just really simple shit, right? You guys with me so far? And I purposefully wanted to like get way more specific in this. So I hope you guys don't mind. We're like kind of talking about blood work and poo and HRT and all kinds of shit like that. So anyways, let's talk more tactical, right? Let's get down into the trenches. We've kind of flown over, right, into bird, and now we're gonna go into the trenches. All right, post-workout or post training of any kind, there's some really cool stuff that is at your fingertips, especially in America. This stuff, it blows my mind how cheap it is to get this stuff. I can't really get a hold of a lot of it over where I'm at, but you can still get it. Everyone can get a hold of hot cold shower. So you mix, what I do is make a bath, make it really hot, like I can only stay in there for like a couple minutes, and you put, we call it Epsom salt and baking soda in America, but it's magnesium and I can't remember the name of sodium carbonate or some shit for baking soda. And you just put a cup of each one of those in that, and then you switch between the hot bath and a cold shower. And you reloop that 7 to 11 times, and that will purge a lot of the soreness or the lactic acid out of you. So it makes your DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, from training, it makes it a lot less, yeah? Another cool one that's new that you can actually buy these kits and install them in your own house now is a UV sauna with red UV light. And that helps extremely well for helping with soreness from, running, exercising, training in any sort of capacity, helps stimulate new cell growth. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Cold plunges, right? Like Tony Robbins swears by this. He's actually got a cold plunge in his house. Even in his mansion in Hawaii, apparently has a big ass cold plunge. And the first thing that he does, because he's a fucking peak performer, is he wakes up and he dives into that cold plunge for like 10 minutes. And then the other one you could do, which helps from a recovery standpoint and helps you hit REM if you're struggling to sleep well at night, is sensory deprivation. Sensory deprivation is where you're floating in about, I think it's like 10 or 12,000 or 20,000 pounds of magnesium. So you're buoyant in the water, and it's like lukewarm water, and you float for like 90 to 90 minutes or more, right? I think I used to do it for 2 or 3 hours. And so it's a smaller space. You can't see anything because it's dark, and you're floating. So 2 of the senses, well, yeah, 3 of the senses, because you can't hear anything either, have been removed. So you can have psychedelic experiences doing this, but the primary purpose people use it for is to catch up on sleep and recover, because all that magnesium soaks into your skin and it makes you feel fucking good, yeah? All right, yeah, post-workout stuff. All right, let's talk about inflammation. These are some things that Dr. Nicole was even talking about. She was talking about, the big one is inflammation, and I would agree. She was talking about fatigue and stress, which I'll talk about that. And is that all I had? Yeah, okay. So inflammation-wise, there's a few things that you can do. Turmeric is the first one. You can take it with black pepper, which helps with the delivery. And this helps with, this is a root, turmeric root. It's what they also use for food coloring. Like if you want to get away from the food dyes, and even if you're taking supplements, you should watch out, because if there's like red dye, yellow dye, blue dye, etc., probably stay away from that, because they can use beetroot for red to make it naturally red, and they can use turmeric to make it, some sort of yellow or lemony flavor, and they do that. Marrow root, that was studied pretty heavily in Russia through the, there was 2 things studied in Russia, was marrow root, and I think it was reishi mushrooms, and they were using those through the 80s in the Olympics, and they were crushing everybody, and they thought they were cheating, and they were probably also on steroids too, let's be honest. But 2 of the big ones that they ended up finding out that they were taking was the reishi mushrooms, which helps open up your breathing and your airways. Ephedra also does this, even though I don't think you can get ephedra in the US. I think it's in very few products now. Fun fact is there is a Asian recipe that a lot of people have been taking over here to help fight the coof when they get it, and it has ephedra in it and some natural leaves and herbs in it. And the whole point of why you would want to take something like that if you had pneumonia, or like the coof has pneumonia-like effects, is because it opens up your breathing and your airways, right? So anyways, there's that. And then there is, it's funny because I've got these names that I call this shit, because when I first started taking this stuff like 3-4 years ago, I didn't really know how to pronounce this. So I just come up with my own names, and I have to stop myself because I always want to say my own made up bullshit names versus how to actually say these names. So Sandra is the next one. And this is like a reddish colored herb. And this is absolutely phenomenal from an inflammation standpoint. It increases physical working capacity, increases endurance, increases accuracy of movement, and lowers cortisol, which is a stressor, right? And I'm going to show you like recipes on all this stuff and where I get mine, if you care to get some yourself, okay? I have no affiliation with this guy, too, by the way. I've just always bought my stuff through him. I found him early on, and I fucking love his stuff, and it's really that simple. Fatigue and stress, we've got a few here. Starting at the bottom, black, I call this black ant shit. So this is an easy one that I actually named the right thing. It's crazy because there's these black ants that can lift like 5,000 or 10,000% more of their strength, and they smash them up, and it's essentially like the bug that you're getting in a powder format. And so the big ones here is that it helps with your body's natural energy grid. So like you want to call it chi or ki. This is like a Eastern belief system about like the internal energy of your body. And I'm telling myself to go to the reference link here too, but also too, it's absorbable into your ATP. So ATP is like essential aminos kind of help with recovering ATP, but creatine helps with recover ATP. So when you're training, your ability to be able to push through stress and strain in the workout itself, that's why creatine is so popular. So let's jump on over to Black Ant. And this is where I actually get all this stuff. It's called LostEmpireHerbs.com. And this guy is like absolutely crazy about this stuff, the quality of the ingredients that he gets. And, you know, he's been doing this for a really, really long time. And so this is who I get all my stuff through. So here's some other benefits. Direct ATP, a lot of this stuff too, like I'm not talking about it. Hey, what's up, Naked Matrix? A lot of this stuff, I'm not talking about it, but there's like a bedroom performance to it, like pine pollen, which I'll talk about. And there's specific formulas that are, if you're having bedroom issues, they definitely help with. Strength builder, double direction immune system modulation, may build stress resistance, aids in slowing the aging process. So it's got some DNA and RNA support system in it. Strengthens the musculoskeletal system. Combines with other herbs. It's a liver and kidney toxin tonic. Extremely protective of the liver, may help detoxify from poison, benefits digestive system, nervous system, shrinkage of the thymus gland. So it's really interesting because real quick into biohacking, when I was big in that, is the thing you figured out is that Chinese herbs were powerful, right? And they were used for a really, really long time. And there's a reason for that, right? And why would we discredit that just because maybe in Western medicine we don't really understand that, yeah? So anyways, Black Ant is one that I absolutely love. So I was trying to find the point. Yeah, 10 times the power of ant per teaspoon. Okay, so it's a 10-to-1 extract. I was trying to find a part where he was talking about the ants themselves, but maybe he removed that. I remember a couple of years ago that he actually discussed that. Anyway. Next, rhodiola. Rhodiola. Say it with me. What's my name for this? Rhodesia or something, I think I called it when I first started taking it. Acts as a stimulant if suffering from fatigue. Increases ability for mental work. Aids in recovery from physical mental work. So the reason why I like this one is because the stress and fatigue stuff that we haven't really discussed is pretty crazy, like right now especially. I know a lot of guys, especially in the crypto and trading space or the I'm really busy entrepreneur space, they abuse Adderall and they abuse other substances like that. Whatever the latest and greatest is, Ritalin, whatever they can get their hands on, right? they abuse these substances, and they take them every single day, and they don't take time off. I mean, I've got some pretty crazy stories about adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue is very real if you're abusing stimulants of any kind. And so this guy that I knew was like once every couple of weeks, like his way of like clearing out all the suppression that was occurring from like shutting himself down and turning himself into a robot from taking and abusing Adderall was he would cry in the shower once every couple of weeks. And that was like his way to like purge it all out, I guess. Where it ended up going was he had adrenal fatigue. So he couldn't get out of bed. He couldn't do anything. Adrenal fatigue is a bitch to absolutely get. And so I actually had him take a bunch of this stuff, and it worked. And before you knew it, he was out of bed. He could move around again. But he used to get exhausted just from getting out of bed and going to the bathroom and getting back in bed. And there was nothing wrong with him. Could you imagine having that happen to you? Like right now, you're trying to build shit for whatever, hacks for whatever you're doing right in life, and you get hit with adrenal fatigue. It would absolutely take the wind out of your sails, yeah. And so, yeah, fatigue it means more than one thing. It doesn't just mean like I'm tired because I trained hard today. That's like central nervous system fatigue. Then there's other forms of fatigue, and depending on what kind of stimulants you're taking, yeah, you can get into that. And that's one thing I left out of this, which is nootropics. I think I meant to add that back in here, but I didn't. Anyways, let's get back into some formulas. So the next one, you can take this by itself, and it's also in some of the blends that he sells, is pine pollen. So this is huge for hormonal rebalancing, right? So if you're so we talked in the beginning of the stream about people jumping on HRT, like a lot. You could do that. You could jump on HRT, or you could try something like this first. Pine pollen is like an old Chinese herb that they used to help with many things, but the top thing that they used it for was to help with hormonal support. So yeah, if you're having problems in the bedroom, then this is somewhere that I would start, right? Before I would jump on HRT or something like that, because HRT has serious side effects, and you can't stop once you start. Once you stop HRT, you have to go through a whole 6 to 12 month period, and most people don't know this, of trying to rebalance your hormones again and trying to get your test levels back up. So this will help. This will help that. So yeah, it strengthens the immune system. It's got other qualities, helping with skin and hair, detoxing liver, energy, vitality, endurance, all that stuff. Helps with hangovers. So yeah, we're starting to add up that we've got a couple, just these two substances here, these two herbs that have been around for thousands of years, taken for thousands of years in Asia, right? We're starting to get somewhere, right? But then we've actually got a formula. It's a formula that I take. This is the one that I take instead of having to take all this shit by itself. And it's got pine pollen. I can never pronounce this. It's this black tar shit that by itself tastes really, really bad. Black ant also tastes really bad by itself. And he, shu, wu, I call it. And all those together help with rebalancing and rejuvenating, right? That's the whole point of me taking this. So what he talks about is, and he's pretty well researched in these on these product pages too, is like the blue zones, where it's like people live longer and nobody really knows why. They call those blue zones. All right, and what else does he get into here? Yeah, I think he just breaks down each of the substances themselves. Okay, this is a mineral resin, the shajit, I think is how you actually pronounce it. Shajit. Ancient plant, compromised, more mineral quality. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've taken this by itself. It's absolutely horrendous. So I took it in the tar format, and so you got to heat it up and then make a tea with it. 51% fulvic acid, which allows your gut to digest and absorb nutrients from the food and supplements you take. Gives you energy, promotes brain health, affects GABA levels, affects athletes positively. It's picked at 10,000 feet in the Himalayan mountains in Bhutan, which is considered, I think, the happiest country on the planet still. All right, cool. Another one, real quick. Broad spectrum adaptogen. Adaptogenic formulas and antigen formulas, right? Isn't that how you say it? I think so. Yeah, so this is for like working out. So here we go with some of the different things I was just talking about, right? Rhodiola. This one, cordyceps. I'm just going to say this one and this one. The other one I can't pronounce. Eleuthero. Yeah, something like that. I can't remember my name for this one, but yeah, they help with modulating stress, improve memory, anti-fatigue, improves work output, helps build blood. So yeah, you start taking this and high elevation, like living somewhere like Colorado or up in the mountains, you can start to see the benefit of this stuff stacking on top of each other, right? Anyways, he goes into anecdotal as well as some studies that have been taken with some of these substances, and these are all herbs. You will not fail a drug test with WADA or any other agency. This stuff is all safe to take, right? And a lot of it will help if you've been abusing stimulants, if you've been abusing even nootropics, right? And so I guess a great place to go next would be to talk about nootropics. That's a pretty common question I get, actually, is what nootropics I take and the levels of it, right? So the basic level would be like Natural Stacks, naturalstacks.com. No affiliation with them, but they've got Neuro Fuel, and that has like vinpocetine in it, huperzine A, and like some natural plant. So nutraceuticals, right? I think is what you'd call that. And so they're just basically plant-based nootropics. And then you'd probably put Alpha Brain, which is by Onnit, in that same category, in that kind of like entry level. If you've never done this before, probably start there. And then you'd probably get into something like Qualia. I know a lot of guys, I didn't realize so many people were taking that, but I remember testing that and taking it when they were first coming out. And I haven't really taken it or touched it since then, because I kind of moved out of that level into another level pretty quickly, which was racetams. So racetams are probably the most aggressive that you could take. They are created in a lab, and they will help with memory, recall, learning, patterns, memorization. I mean, some of them are very, very insane. Some side effects, nausea, you can get some side effects with some of them, but there is a wide range of racetams. The racetam family is absolutely huge. And so that's what I take. I actually get custom blends done through a company called Web Nutrients, such as webnutrients.com if you want to check it out, or they sell on Amazon. And I've been getting custom formulas from them for years. I don't even know. Again, it's about the same amount of time that I've been taking the greens. I've been taking different formulas through them. So yeah, that's it. All right, let's do wrap up. Yeah, 50 minutes in. So the big thing to remember here is that everything is habitual based, right? So we're talking about habits. So there's something called neuroplasticity, which is neurons that fire together, wire together, and vice versa. So that just means that these neural networks start to happen because of habits, because the way you react to things, because the way you handle pressure, the way you handle stress. You will start to create these neurosynaptic pathways to make it easier for things to happen within the body, within you as an individual, based on how many times you've done it in the past. So we could spend days talking about how important this is, but just understand that the way that you're doing everything now is habitualized in some degree. It's a software default pattern or program that runs subconsciously now without you having to do anything. For better or worse, that's happening with you, right? And so if we start to get in there and we shake things up and we make changes, is understand that, the first probably 3 to 7 days will be the hardest. Habit forming is pretty up in the air. I mean, just depends on what formula you want to believe in. 14 days to form a habit, 21 days, 30 days to form a habit. Who really cares? If you do something long enough, you're creating a neural network. You're creating what's called neuroplasticity. You're creating a group of neurons that have now bonded together through familiarity and similarity and frequency of firing. And now that is a new default, right? So just keep that in mind. Small levers swing big doors, I guess is the big thing there, right? And next most important thing is don't fuck around with your health. Be stubborn, wait, no, I'm fine, blah, 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 no, I'm healthy, I can run a marathon tomorrow, I run every day, I work out every day, Jay, you don't understand, I'm fine. Like, you're fine until, something big happens. And that's usually how it goes. So if you're staying up on this stuff, it's pretty easy to catch something coming. And if you're doing just, regular blood work, even once every 6 months, once every 12 months, and you're ahead of most people. And so I make a reference to Hex, because obviously a lot of Hexicans will be watching this, is that, with Hex, you're rewarded, right? You're rewarded for staking early and staking larger. So staking early versus staking late, you get paid better to stake early, yes? So catching something early rewards you. Well, it's the same thing here. If we catch the problem early, it rewards us in the same way that Hex does with getting more T-shares. Well, you're rewarded with more life and more energy, yeah? So anyways, that's what I got for you. I noticed that stream is kind of up and down. There's a lot of people jumping in and out because we're streaming at the same time as DS, Discourse Syndicate. So I'll have to change my time. I think I'll go an hour earlier next week. Questions? Any questions? Oh, I did goof that up and pull that up. Any questions before we end it? 1 hour of me blabbing on. If you missed this, you can catch up on it. Look at all this shit we went through. Look at all this. Look at all that text. Any questions before we go? No? No takers? My tab game is on point today. Not a lot of tabs. I'm not the tab king today. Give it a minute here. Any questions before we jump off? But yeah, I mean, this is a huge part of my life's work is, let's call it peak performance on two fronts, is the physical side of like when you wake up and how you structure your day and how much shit you can get done in a day. And the other side of it is what are we taking to support that? You know, what is the supplements and the shit that we're doing and the, mechanical things that we're using, the tools to help us recover faster, to help us stay sharper, to help us stay in alignment, to help our energy, internal energy reflect the external energy that we need. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate you. Yeah, I think this is really important shit. Like I wish Dr. Nicole could get deeper. Maybe they'll have her back on, get deeper into this stuff. But like, this is like down in the trenches stuff that people need to hear so that you can start to, and with firsthand experiences and stories that, like I shared with you, is like, this is how it becomes more impactful. This is how it actually hits home and turns into something bigger, is to talking through it like this. There's more that I wanted to share, but you know, we're an hour in. I'll stick to this. And I almost passed out and slept through this. If I'm being honest, I was fucking sleeping, and then I woke up and jumped on because I was like, oh dang, dude, I gotta do this and knock this out. But yeah, there's a lot I could share here, and all of this, like, if this wasn't impactful, you would not have a slew of peak performance coaches moving into the crypto space. Mark my words, you'll see more and more of this, but you have like mental coaches and mindset coaches now moving into crypto. Well, I'd say by far the most important one is, what you're doing with your body, because you're sitting in front of a computer for 12 to 16 hours. If you're eating like shit, you're going to start looking like it as well. And that affects your trading because it affects your emotions, and it affects how you're going to react and respond to market going up, market going down, right? So there's guys now that are selling like peak performance for crypto traders courses and stuff. And this is all, I mean, I don't think they're getting this deep at all because they don't have this experience to begin with. They're just talking about simple shit like greens and nootropics and fasting, and like that's like that's the nickel and dime stuff. There's bigger fish to fry in this space of performance, right? So anyways, any questions before we jump off here? You can catch the replay. It's always recorded and it's up on the channel like within an hour or two. Sometimes YouTube is a little goofy, so it takes a little bit more time, but I'd love for you to jump back through this, share it with friends, share it with somebody who's maybe going through stuff, maybe ignoring stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Share this with them because there's a lot here. And this I think is a great way to like throw somebody into the deep end, because it's hard to deny the basics of what we just covered. It's hard to deny that, yes, at minimum, we should be doing like this left-hand side here. If never done testing before, basics, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty hard to deny that stuff, yeah? All right, anyways, thank you so much for jumping on with me, my friends. Next week, I think we'll make a change. I think we'll go an hour earlier so that I'm not conflicting with anyone else, or maybe we'll go, man, I can't do an hour later. That's like midnight. Starting at midnight would be rough. So maybe I'll go an hour earlier. But yeah, thank you so much for jumping on. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. And Twitch, we're also streaming there right now. So subscribe on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, comment below on YouTube. Helps the algos. Hit the like button, helps the algos. You get the game, yeah? Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.